see what happens. And we started talking about movies, and it came at a time in my life, I was probably about 33 or 34 then, where I had come from making movies with my brother for $3 in our kitchen, and it had kind of risen to the place where like I'd done the league and I'd done all these things, and I was in the big filmmaking apparatus. And now I was directing little studio movies with like 100-person crews, and it was rewarding, but it felt different. And I missed that thing where you're just running around like an idiot with someone that you love, trying to make a piece of art. So Patrick and I started talking in my kitchen, and that led to, what if just the two of us went away to my cabin that I just bought? And we just started like trying to figure out there was a movie there and improvising it, you know? And I'll use like my like really kind of like awkward huggy energy, because I'm like really like I hug people too soon. It's kind of like one of my problems, you know? We'll just use that, and we'll use your stunned, beautiful eyes, and let's see if we can come up with a movie out of this. And we shot a bunch of stuff, and it was terrible. It was like unwatchably bad. But we brought it back to our friends, and we started showing them, and they said, "Oh, this is kind of interesting. Why don't you try building on this?" So over the course of about a year, Patrick and I would continue to go up to this cabin and reshoot. Then we brought on our third collaborator, Chris Donlin. He's here tonight. You're going to meet him for Q&A. He's our editor and really our third brother in this whole process. So we really increased the scope of the crew from 2 to 3 people. And that's when the movie started to find itself. And without getting like too corny, I will just say that these types of movies and this process is, I think, what's kept me alive in this business that is so difficult, that is so tough, that is so grueling. It takes so long for projects to come together. You have to explain so many things to studio heads when you want to make them. Or you can pick up the old HD camera you have that only shoots 1K and go out and do something really stupid like this. And it has kept me invigorated. So thank you guys. I can't believe you're coming to see this today. Chris and I will be here with Amanda in between the movies to answer questions and talk about crazy stuff that happens. And until then, thank you for supporting Videos, and thank you for supporting Strange Little Movies. This is just it's so wonderful that you're all here. This is so cool. All right. It's so surreal, you guys. I'm going to try not to talk too much because I know we want to watch 2 movies. But they're real fucking short, so I'm gonna talk for a little bit.
I can see you. I can like hear every like. It's kind of choppy, but I'm
all right. We'll get there.
We will.
I'll figure it out.
So you had mentioned at the beginning, this strange little film. You gave us kind of the history of you coming together a little bit, Mark. And I'm curious. I think just because, and maybe it's fitting because Patrick's also joining us on the screen, I'm really curious to hear about, like, from all 3 of you, like, what were some of your influences or inspirations, like, or films you were talking about at this time when you were coming up with this idea, or media that you were taking in?
Yeah, I mean, I can just speak to my own thing. It was almost more of a form that I was missing than like, I want to make a movie that feels like this, or I'm loving these kinds of movies. It was more of like, I miss running around in the woods like an idiot with my friends with no plan, and the feeling of when you get an idea in the moment and you can just pick the camera up and you don't have to think about lighting, you can just do it. I mean, so much of everything you see up there.
But obviously, all the references that we talked about and the idea of injecting them into the movie was something that was always so exciting to us. Like talking about, I think My Life was the first one that we talked about, just because that was us coming up with this character and coming up with this motivation, and we just loved the idea of someone being so inspired by this truly mediocre Michael Keaton movie from the early 90s.
What the fuck are you talking about? That movie's incredible, bro! Patrick and I can get our first fight right now.
Totally.
But then it gets me thinking, I mean, you honestly made perhaps one of the most like influential, if not very important, found footage films of
On the east side of LA, us three and these 270 people definitely agree. I'll take it.
And I just want to name it, what I love about the film in many ways is because you also tell us why you're doing it. Like a lot of found footage films kind of miss this part. And I even love in the end, after the death, you go like, this is what was wrong. Like, and it's very self-referential, which is really amazing. So I'm just kind of curious, what was that process like in making a found footage film and the handing off of the camera and that playfulness that you had to work with?
It's a dance, man. It's a dance, and it's so fun, you guys. I cannot recommend it enough. Like, we made this in 2012 when I don't know if you guys remember or feel, but the feeling back then was like found footage is dead. All the found footage movies suck. It's been put to bed. Nobody wants to buy them anymore. And our feeling was just like, there's nothing wrong with the form. It's just that it hasn't been utilized in a way that's kind of interesting yet, or in a while, I guess. So that I'll just say, like, prospective filmmakers in the audience, God, it's so fun. Not having to worry about lighting, just moving really quickly on instinct. It's great. Now, this process, I've never made a film like this before. It took forever to make. It started with just me and Patrick. We went up with an outline. We shot for 6 days in the cabin. And of that footage, Patrick, would you say what? Maybe 40% of it is in the final film? Maybe? What do you think?
Yeah, about half.
Maybe about half. In the original version of that movie, for those of you who've like seen the DVD, we included some of this information, but for those of you who don't, we don't like say this everywhere because we like to keep the movie pristine, but like the first movie is a relationship movie. That's the movie we made because we're not really big horror fans and we're not really like versed in this. Like we don't know what we're doing. And so we made this very awkward movie that ends up with them becoming friends on that bench by the lake. And we showed it to Chris and we showed it to our friends and they were like, this sucks and this doesn't work. But here's the thing, Mark, your energy is so terrifying. And the more you lean into that and you let this be what it is, the slow, awkward burn of that. So it really was, we would love to claim that we could see this from the beginning. All that Patrick and I did correctly was have our sensibilities, how much we like each other, our sense of humor, throw ourselves off the cliff, and then all of our friends around us started to guide us at that point and say, go this way, trust me, take it. And so that became another 2-year journey of going up to Crestline for a couple of days, reshooting, Chris coming in, helping us get a little bit better with like hidden cuts and how to do things with the camera. And then we brought in Blumhouse as a partner eventually. That helped us a little bit more with certain things we could do with sound design, not a ton. So it was a real group effort. But we feel like we have something special, and people had identified there's something about the sweetness that was brought into this movie that made it very different. It made it feel special for them. So we're dogged. We're gonna get this right. We're gonna get our ending right. We shot a couple of versions. At this point in time, I'm shooting The League. I'm in like season 3 or 4 of The League. I'm shooting like 12-hour days back in LA, and this Crestline's about an hour and a half away, and we used to own that cabin. And so one morning, I'm like, tell Patrick and Chris, I'm like, I'm so sorry, but like the only time I can shoot this is if we get there at like 6 a.m. So we're gonna leave at like 4:30, get up there, shoot for like an hour and a half, and I'll drive back and shoot my 12-hour day on The League. And let's just like get this done, And we hadn't even really fully planned out how we're gonna do this, but we had a real axe, by the way. This was before we were paying for the rubber axe, which we subsequently used. This whole movie was made for about $500. And we've got Patrick on the bench, and we're like, okay, yeah, I guess we're gonna need some kind of visual effects to make this work. We probably should have thought of that. How is this gonna work? And so I was like so tired. I was like, I have this idea. I think it could work. It's like, I'll just come up behind you in real time. I'll raise the axe, and then in slow motion, I'll just slowly drop the axe, and I'll touch it to your head, and you go slowly sideways, and then when I pull it out, I'll go into fast motion again. And Chris, you just speed it up on the avenue. It'll be fine. And
What about the water?
yeah. What about the water? Yes. Oh shit, we got the water. So, but as crazy as it sounds, like we did it, and it really looked good. We were like, holy shit. So then we brought in a visual effects person to carve out the water, make sure the water flowed at the same rate from a previous plate shot that made it work. We had little squirts of blood and that little extra sound. And there's our visual effects shot.
Brilliant.